Hey College Boy team, my name is Alana. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a virtual advisor with the College Advising Corps. Now that we are officially in spooky season, let me tell you a quick horror story. There once was a high school senior who applied and was accepted into their dream university. Unfortunately, they failed to fill out an application for financial aid, and as a result, received no money. They then had to drop out because they didn't have the money to pay for college. That's pretty spooky. Let's make sure that that horror story doesn't become your horror story. Today, I'm here to talk to you about what financial aid is and to go over the FAFSA. Financial aid comes in various different types. There's scholarships and grants, which is free money. There are loans, which is borrowed money. And then there's work study. And that's money where you have to work for it. You'll get a job on campus and then you'll earn a paycheck. The only difference is instead of the money coming from wherever it is that you're working, the money comes from the federal government. And so money comes from different places. There's federal aid, state aid, institutional aid, and then there are also private sources that can help you pay for college. So you heard me say FAFSA a second ago. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and this is free to complete, and based on the information that you input, it helps determine your eligibility for receiving financial aid. So you may be wondering, who's eligible to fill out the FAFSA? If you are a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen, you meet the requirements to fill out the FAFSA. Follow this link to check for eligibility requirements. If you do not meet the requirements, there are other ways for you to receive aid, so reach out to your advisor and ask. Next, what is needed to complete this application? You'll need an FSA ID, which serves as your login and signature. Something to note, the login requires a Social Security number. So if your adult doesn't have one, they will not be able to create an FSA ID. Instead, you will need to enter all zeros for the Social Security number, and in order to sign, you will print out the page, manually sign it, and then mail it to the given address. In addition to your FSA ID, you will need demographic and financial information found in this graphic. Next, determining whether you are a dependent or independent student and who to report as your parent or guardian on the FAFSA. If you live with one biological parent, you are a dependent, and parent information will need to be reported. If your parents are divorced or have never been married, you're going to want to list the parent that you live with most, regardless of who claims you on their taxes. If you live with someone other than one of your biological parents, and you've not been legally adopted, if you live in an unsafe or unstable situation, or live alone, you are independent and parent information is not reported. For more information figuring out which parent to report on the FAFSA, check out this graphic and follow this link to the studentaid.gov website to determine parent reporting. How many schools can I include on the FAFSA? You will be asked which schools you want to send your FAFSA to. You can list up to 10 schools initially, but don't worry. If you have more, you can always wait until you receive the student aid report and then log back in and complete a FAFSA correction in which you will remove your original schools and then list any other schools and then resubmit your FAFSA. We recommend listing your in-state schools first, public, and then private. When is the FAFSA due? The sooner you complete these financial aid forms, the better. You can check here for your state's specific deadlines, as well as research your schools for school-specific deadlines. We do recommend submitting your application by December 15th to maximize your potential for receiving financial aid. A lot of aid is rewarded on a first-come, first-served basis, and submitting it early leaves time for any troubleshooting and additional steps in case you've been selected for verification. After you submit your FAFSA, be on the lookout for an email from noreply@fafsa.gov with your student aid report, or your SAR. This report is a summary of the information you provided and includes important information about your expected family contribution, your eligibility for student loans and Pell Grants, and if you've been selected for verification. So you always want to review this report. And if you find a mistake, you can fix it by logging back into your FAFSA and submitting a FAFSA correction. Here, you'll just change the information to your question and then resubmit. You can learn more about the student aid report here. Reach out to your advisor once you've received yours. To recap, the FAFSA is an application for financial aid and is free to submit. We recommend submitting it by December 15th. There are eligibility requirements for completing the FAFSA, so be sure to check before you get started. If you're eligible, you will need a FAFSA ID, demographic, and financial information in order to complete the FAFSA. Determining your dependency status helps you know whose information is required for you in order to complete the application. You can submit the application to more than 10 schools, and you'll receive a student aid report as a summary of your FAFSA, and it will also include important information about your eligibility for financial aid. So please, make sure that you complete your application so that horror story in the beginning doesn't become yours.